Hey all, it's very good to see you. So I wanted to make a quick video, um, just talking about Akira Toriyama. I was browsing Reddit or something yesterday, and I saw that he had passed, and I was just like, oh, well, that kind of really came out of nowhere, didn't it? And I've grown up around his IPs in a lot of ways, and his creativity. He's such an well accomplished and influential mangaka and character designer. And so, with the news, I really just wanted to take a little time to share some info about him and celebrate his life and his works. He passed away about a week ago from a subdural hematoma. Excuse me, I'm not a medical professional. Which, when I was looking it up, is a type of brain bleed usually caused by trauma. Someone hitting their head or something of that line. So we don't have many details outside of that, but I'm hoping that under whatever conditions his health was at the time, or whatever happened to him, that that it was a safe and good passing. He was 68, which is still too young to lose somebody like that. And it makes me terrified because there's other artists and stuff that in our lifetime we'll see go before us, and it will be sad to see. But the one thing that's so great about his creative output and his talent and his passion is that he left us so much to still revere and enjoy about his works. I was reading over a little bit about his wiki just to understand who Toriyama was as just a person growing up. And he grew up in Kyosu, that's where he was born, which is a pretty big city in Japan. And the funny thing about Toriyama that I was reading is that some of his biggest influences were Popeye and Disney, especially 101 Dalmatians. At least that's what it was reading over just some general summary about his life. And when he was in elementary, middle school, or whatnot, he watched a lot of Astro Boy and Osamatsu-kun, which I'm not so familiar with. Astro Boy, I think, is pretty influential overall in the space. And him and his friends would spend time just drawing pictures to pass time as entertainment. And he started getting really good, and he started drawing, pictures of his friends even. And I really love this because for some reason in middle school he mentioned he decided to take a break because he had developed such a passion for Ultraman and watching kaiju films that it was just taking up a lot of his time, which I love about him. And he also had a very big enjoyment of Bruce Lee and just kung fu films in general. And so, he worked, and when he was in his early 20s, he decided, okay, I need money, so I'm going to go back to drawing. And he did just that. And a lot of his works got super popular in Weekly Shonen Jump, especially with one of his first. He had a very first popular manga called Dr. Slump, which was pretty big in Shonen Jump. And he tried a couple different ways to get other ones to pop off, or was writing just one-shot stories. But it wasn't until he was working with a colleague who would go on to be the editor-in-chief at Shonen Jump eventually, recommended to him, well, you love kung fu movies. Why not try to do something? Why not try to draw a manga in the kung fu-inspired space? And so that's where Dragon Ball starts off. And Dragon Ball's kind of cool. You can see it in the influence that there's this Journey to the West vibe. I mean, between Bulma and, of course, Goku, who's got the monkey tail. And actually, Dragon Ball is the anime that I'm familiar with from Toriyama's works and his characters. I watched Dragon Ball when I was quite a bit younger. In school, middle school, especially, Dragon Ball Z was huge. I think anyone growing up in the States that's around my age would understand that. But I watched Dragon Ball for some reason. I really enjoyed it. It was quite the adventure. And it starts out a lot more as an adventure show as opposed to kind of this more combat martial arts based action show that Dragon Ball Z would become to be known as. But I still remember just having my little laptop, laying on my bed, just finding the right sites to get English subbed episodes of Dragon Ball for me to watch. And not only was I enjoying it as a kid in middle school, but Dragon Ball was so influential in Shonen Jump that, to my understanding, when Dragon Ball was running, that's when Shonen Jump magazine had its peak sales in terms of just weekly issues. They were selling like 6.5 million copies, which is really impressive. So that's cool. And I would think that if I saw a drawing, it's certain characters that make you think of certain drawers, right? But when it comes to Toriyama's works, whether it was games or manga or anime, you knew that he had drawn the character just based on the distinct style that he had drawn into it. And excuse me, I'm not a professional on a lot of these topics. I just wanted to celebrate some of his works, especially in the video game space, which is what I want to pivot into. He might have been huge for his anime and manga, and I'm not as close to that as I am video games. And one of the things that is so great is when I was in middle school, I also had a Nintendo DS, right? And there were so many good Toriyama characters and games that were on the DS. A lot of them coming from earlier consoles. So on DS, I had played through Chrono Trigger for the first time. And yes, it's true that it's a phenomenal game in its gameplay and its story and in its design. But the characters specifically, I can close my eyes and I can picture what they look like. And they're all so unique. And that really stands out to me in Toriyama's characters. And in Dragon Quest, I think basically all of the Dragon Quest games made their way onto the Nintendo DS eventually, or 3DS. And I played through every single one of them. And a big part of it was that visual design. There was something so kind of put together about the series because of Toriyama's investment in its monsters and in its characters. And in Dragon Quest VIII, which I reviewed on this channel, he did even things like the ship design and stuff like that. And so it's just really cool, some of the visual influence he has had on JRPGs over the years and continues to have, because there's actually a Toriyama game, Sandland, coming out in the very near future, which I look forward to checking out. Another one that I'd recommend that I actually haven't had the chance of playing fully through is Toriyama had done designs for an Xbox 360 game called Blue Dragon, which again, you'll look at it and you'll clearly see, oh, okay, yeah, Akira Toriyama designed those characters. He designed those monsters. And it's actually a pretty fun, and it's a pretty fun story and game. I recommend it if you haven't heard of it or want to check it out. But that's about it. Just a little video that I wanted to personally myself just read a little bit about his history as a drawer, as an animator, as a contributor to the visual arts and video games. And he's even done some crazy stuff I was reading, like designed cars and things like that. And his father was a race car driver and stuff, and so he's always had a big passion for that too. But very cool life, very celebrated and influential artist, and it's really sad that he'll go. I kind of wonder, for the future of even something like Dragon Quest, who they'll bring in and how they'll continue that visual design that they're so well known for. And it's sad. So, to that effect, I just wanted to say, goodbye, Akira Toriyama. It's sad to see another great artist go, but fortunately we'll always have the works to consume, whether that's watching the shows, reading the manga, playing the games that Toriyama was a part of. And it just happened so sudden, so crazy, so I just had to share some thoughts about it. And all said, thanks for watching as well. I'll see you guys next time.